links from the description. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sons and Daughters of Liberty. Tonight, should be joined with a few special guests throughout the night. Some new faces, some faces you haven't seen in a while. We're gonna have various topics. We're gonna talk about 2021 in review, what we foresee for upcoming for 2022. You've heard my opinions already, so I'll keep my negative thoughts to myself.
What I want to say is I want to see the damn terms of service for 22. Seems like everything else has a TOS. I want to see the damn TOS for 22 before I sign up for it.
You want the fine print, huh?
Yeah, everything's got that fine printing. I got
well, TOSs don't so much have a fine print. They have something to change without your notification at any time. It's up to you to frequently check your TOS because they don't have to notify you of any change. That's on every TOS.
So that explains. So that explains the last 2 years. Gotcha.
But as you know, I've been fairly lucky compared to most of the people we associate with who can't seem to keep a channel from getting a strike.
Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing that you're still standing.
Yeah, I pushed my luck too.
Oh yeah, we have.
I mean, obviously the last stream we did, which for tonight, guys, yes, the call-in section has been removed, but it will stay up. But if I get any more headaches like I had the other night,
what happened?
Oh Lord.
Oh yeah. Between the trolls in the chat, which never happens over here, that was the first. I had people calling in and then just dropping the N-word left and right. We actually had the last caller that called in, besides dropping the N-word, threatening to kick both of our asses.
Yeah, probably not wise. And they were stupid enough, of all things, to not shield their number.
Oh wow! So was that Bolshevik trolls?
Some of it was Bolshevik, but from what I've been able to find, majority of them were not, even though they were using Russian and right on the Ukrainian line for servers. From what I've been able to find and figure out, they were using a server in that location. But what was hilarious was the dipshit, and if the dipshit is listening,
the Canadian?
Yeah, the Canadian from Ottawa, Canada.
Oh, those Canadians.
I have your number, and it has been forwarded to the proper authorities. In your jurisdiction, since Canada has a zero hate speech initiative, and their prime minister.
I'm not even going there.
Well, in this instance, this can actually work in our benefit because this individual that was saying all that garbage happens to be Caucasian. So in this situation, this does fall under the hate crime statutes under Canadian law. And this has been forwarded to the proper authorities.
I'm gonna guess this was this Canada's version of a Democrat.
No, this is Canada's version of a dipshit that forgot that some of us are very quick with screen cap.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. When I've talked with some of these not fake Nazis online. Usually it's Democrats playing a cartoon villain caricature. It's very embarrassing, very
Cosplay was
cringe.
for the bedroom.
What?
Nothing.
You can say that again. I can take it.
I thought cosplay was for the bedroom.
Oh. Well, these
Well,
yeah, these
not
furries.
not in today's age. We're not going down that road.
You can go down any road you want. I'll come with you.
I love it already. I'm not the only one that can pick on Drew here. I ain't the only chick in the house for a change.
Well, he's been very nice, and I see the things that he says on Twitter. I know he's a very hardworking guy with lots to say. So I wanted to come join you guys tonight and hear what you think.
Well, one of the things I love about Drew, and Drew and I have been doing pods for 5 years.
Well, at least for Sons and Daughters of Liberty. I've been doing it longer than that.
But you and we're linked up by Mr. Anderson. To be fair, he was the one that hooked us up. And the amount of I don't even know how many podcasts we've done now. I quit counting, quite honestly, at this point. I know that we've got at least 50 over on my channel alone. And my channel's been around since 2011, and I've had a couple of strikes that YouTube has taken back after investigation and doing their due diligence.
Investigation. Oh boy.
and willing to see that, hey, I wasn't the one that was in the wrong. And removing the issue that of the people that were the problem, because I used to also do live call-ins and whatnot on mine, and I haven't done that in a very long time. I'm kind of picky about who I have over on my stream. Oh, here we go again. Oh,
you got trolls going? I wasn't even looking at the chat. Is that where they're at?
Yep.
Yep, and that one is pinging out of the central part of Russia.
See, that's funny to me because I don't think the Russians are the communists these days.
No, they're not.
Like, Russians are some of the least communist people now, and right down your street is where the Bolsheviks are hanging out, actually.
Yeah, they'll find out tonight that I am very quick to, if they want to be posting garbage, I will remove it.
It started with my comments. They were hitting my comment sections, which I give props to YouTube. YouTube's been on top of that. But we all know how that little play game goes. I do the live chat, keep it so it stays recorded, and when everybody comes back and rewatches it, the chats are there, which is important to me because I'm all about the communication.
Right.
Communicate, and nice thing about being a small channel, I can interact with my chat at pretty much real time.
Yeah, I feel lame. I can't see the chat. I opened up a chat window. I came in through a browser and looking at the chat, and it's blank for me. So I can't even enjoy what your trolls are trying to do.
It's porn links.
I see. They got triggered by the cosplay remarks.
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know how they found this channel.
Yeah, I wish they would unfind this channel, but
it gives well, oh wait, I don't have. Oh yeah, you're a moderator. You and Rob are the only two moderators I have.
Yeah, and they'll find out very quickly that I will not, they come in, say they start dropping porno links and stuff like that. I'll just remove it, and I won't delete them. I won't block them. I'll just remove the comment.
So
If they,
do
go
they
ahead.
make money on those links? Is that why they post them?
Yeah, they do. They make it's actually been a very big monetary thing that I've found on a lot of big channels. Very big.
Oh,
Yeah, but I ain't a big channel.
Yeah, but they're coming.
they want to bring all your viewers in.
What they do is they hit the big channels first, and once the AI figures them out, then they start browsing hot button topics like what our title is for tonight, and what one of the biggest I think, and this just dropped just a few hours ago. Drew and I were talking around the 6 o'clock hour my time in the Central Time Zone. The verdict came down on I think maybe one of the larger human trafficking rings of our lifetime, certainly, on Ghislaine Maxwell. 5 of the 6 felony convictions. Yowza.
Yeah.
You know,
Like I said,
Yeah, I have a very jaded take on that whole case. I haven't really watched it because I figure they're all just government employees, and the whole human trafficking thing. I think a lot of wealthy people are the ones who benefit the most from human trafficking.
they're
So
the only one that can afford it.
yes, they can totally afford it. They can totally afford it. They love it, and so then I think they do a lot to distract us and make it and pretend that there's some form of justice. So I have a very cynical take on that. But most people are not as depressing as me. So I welcome you to express your other, more optimistic takes.
well, as somebody who actually um, does a lot of profiling and whatnot, my take on it and how I see and having that, because I live right on the trafficking highway through the upper middle section of the United States. I see the after effects that it leaves, and it really is disheartening when it comes through uh, middle America and rural America, and the aftershock that leaves. I
Yeah,
see that
agreed.
firsthand. So,
Well, it's just like I tell people. I mean, me and you did the Arizona thing.
oh yeah,
Not that I want to go back and relive any of that. But that's actually the only video I've ever taken. Well, up until this week, that's the only video I've ever taken down.
What was the topic?
It was a couple years ago when they were talking. Like a group went down there. It wasn't.
the group in question was. You want me to go ahead and drop their name?
Ooh, you don't
Yeah,
have
go ahead.
to. I don't want to get you stricken.
We shouldn't. We should be okay. The group was being operated by it was called Veterans on Patrol, but the guy who was spearheading it, he himself was not a veteran, was a multi-time felon, and was extorting. Who do we got here? Shield your number. Shield your number. Who are you?
No, don't. Let me get to this.
Up, he bailed.
Yeah.
I didn't get. He said he dropped the word.
He didn't drop the word. He just said fuck
Yeah.
you.
No, he dropped the N word.
I didn't hear it.
I did. I caught it. Did you, Hollywood?
I didn't hear it.
No, I just heard "fuck you"
Wow,
before he dropped out.
this whole thing about the public dialing in and doing that kind of stuff, it's all new to me because I kind of make a point to be checked out of the world. I make a point to not know what's going on in the world in some ways. So them calling in and doing that is all that's all a new.
I got a trick for that. I can change my number.
It's somebody who has went back in a previous stream and looked at your previous where you have your information still shown. Just
Yeah. Like I said,
that was
I'll end up changing the numbers.
and that was a 213 area code. So 213, be put on notice.
Well, like I said, there's a lot more you got to do into that. You got to run it through a few searches because they could be using either a Google Voice number or a Skype number.
This was Skype.
Since they do issue actual numbers.
Yeah, and I don't think it wasn't clear enough for Skype, and it definitely was not clear enough for.
No, he was from his phone.
Yeah, that was a straight phone. That was an area code.
Yeah, he was like calling from his car. Either way, not here nor there. I don't care. Fuck them.
But it was a somebody that couple years ago there was a group out of in Tempe, Arizona, that was saying that there was a whole bunch of human trafficking going on, and they ended up Craig Sawyer and his crew came out, and Craig's pretty well versed in the topic of human trafficking and what various articles and things look like. And Craig came out. He was brought in by the DOJ to investigate and look at the surroundings. And other than a phenomenal amount of garbage that was found,
and the rape tree,
and the rape tree, and there's many different variants of it. That situation was not very well organized, and Sawyer was very, very critical of this situation, and he was just straight out on top of it, like right now type thing. And he called it out, and the people that were there on the ground, there's only a few people that would have known what all was actually happening behind the scenes with the cameras off. And yeah, it didn't work out well for them. And this individual that was involved has like 5 or 6 different names, and ended up extorting.
The big red flag was he was one of the culprits at the Bundy Ranch.
Yes, he was.
When you say culprit, because I remember the Bundy Ranch thing. When you say culprit, what do you mean?
He's the one that helped blow that thing out of proportion.
Blow it out of proportion. So I have a memory of some things happening at Bundy Ranch. Was it, do you think that was a fake? Was that a fake event or?
No, it was not fake.
No, it definitely was not fake.
I know some of the Bundys, no.
So when you say blew it out of proportion.
He's the one that really antagonized a lot of the militias. He was one of the first people to come in there armed. He also helped sneak in, what's his face? What's his name? Probably shouldn't say his name.
DSW, the live streamer.
Yeah, the live streamer.
Yeah.
Was it Shapiro?
No.
Never mind. I know who it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so this person you're talking about smuggled a live streamer into Bundy Ranch.
No, he brought the live streamer in, and the live streamer. This was the whole funny thing. Everybody else was having problems with their phones and stuff. This kid,
Really?
this kid was getting perfect feeds out.
Yep.
Because that happened on January 6th. Everybody's phones were scrambled.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
On January 6th, people could not get news from the outside. They couldn't communicate. Almost everybody's phones were dead.
Mm-hmm.
Well-
Built-in safety feature of the phones. It's kind of like the public PBS, public broadcasting service, and because this actually happened during 9/11. It was around 4 or 5 o'clock. They started reporting of rockets being fired in the Middle East. Next thing you know, every channel went blank, and every channel, even on the cable channels, the only thing you could access was PBS. And their news. Yep. Till about 7 o'clock at night.
I remember that.
Huh. Well, it's definitely interesting the techniques they use for these phony, fake events. And
no, Bundy's wasn't actually. Bundy's was a actual event. There was nothing fake about it. The Bundy event actually did go down. There was nothing fake or staged about it.
But when you say the live streamer, was the live streamer meant to be an agitator?
He wasn't so much an agitator as he was pretty much feeding everything to the FBI.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. No matter what the event is, and no matter how much legitimate protest there is, the government finds a way to make it not only ridiculous, but to take it in a crazy direction and do things with it. Like every time sane people try to stand up and say no, they have a way of taking control.
Yeah, by causing the events to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2022 has been a perfect example of that, though. As we found, January 6th, we all know about that. In fact, they're not going to release no video evidence or nothing because, they just keep making excuses. And we see the people they're trying to bring in, who they're subpoenaing, but the ones that really agitated stuff, they're not locked up. They're not in jail. They're walking free.
Yeah. There was a lady at the Capitol windows demanding for people. She was on a loudspeaker. She had a loudspeaker, which is funny because everybody else had everything taken away. You couldn't even have an umbrella, and it was so cold that day. Everybody
couldn't even have a selfie stick.
Yes.
Or backpack.
Yes, everything was taken away. Everything. But this lady, who I've never heard anything more about, was on a loudspeaker inside the Capitol, screaming out from the windows, "You have to come in, you have to come in, you have to come in. You got to smash stuff. You got to smash stuff." I've never heard anything about that woman. I've never seen anything about her on the news.
But ever since then, throughout the whole year, including the stuff we found out about with the Kyle Rittenhouse case, the trial, the FBI has been there for all of it.
Oh, they love it. Oh, they love it. It's so cringe. It's so embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed by these people. I'm embarrassed by what they do and what they try to pretend the American people are. It is just embarrassing.
I mean, the worst part of it is they could have stopped that. I mean, it was the media's fault just as much. They're just as guilty. They should have been on trial just along with the FBI because they could have stopped all those riots before they even happened, since they were there from day one.
Oh, yeah. No, the FBI, they're looking for any opportunity to make the American people look like complete idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems to be their full-time job and agenda. I don't know if they ever had a different job, but now it seems to be full-time. Their focus on just completely picking apart the American people.
Yep. Just like back when, after the little incident in West Virginia where, was it West Virginia or Virginia? Virginia, that went red.
With Youngkin? You mean Youngkin? No.
Yeah. including the first black female to ever be.
Yeah, she looked pretty impressive. I
Yeah.
haven't followed it.
But the whole point of that, what really sunk, dude, was the critical race theory and people finally standing up to the school boards. Then the DOJ and the FBI starts saying, well, anybody that stands up against the school boards, we're going to investigate you as domestic terrorists.
It's wild that they can do this, that they can treat the American people as domestic terrorists, but they've been setting that precedent for a long time.
Yep.
And I always think back, I really don't know much at all about Ruby Ridge. There's two events back there that I don't know much about, Ruby Ridge and Waco. And I always think back, what I do know is the images of those events. And
Yep.
it really sets the precedent that they can do whatever they want to the American people. That's what's in my mind, even though I don't really know those events.
I do.
Waco, I'm very familiar with. I still remember, like you said, the images because it was on nothing. It was on TV the whole time.
Yeah, so it's been a precedent my whole life that they will do to you whatever they want. And it's pretty remarkable that we consider ourselves different from places like North Korea. And North Korea is a whole other interesting story. I don't believe most of what we're told about that. That's a whole other clown show, but charade, more like. I don't know, and maybe some of your listeners know, but I hear that Korea has a ton of minerals, very valuable minerals. And I don't think the North Koreans are benefiting. At least the people aren't.
No, the people never do.
Yeah,
Not
so the
under
question
that-
is,
especially
who
that
is?
regime.
Huh?
Especially that regime. Oh, I'd say China, honestly.
It's a very
That's probably
curious
the only
thing.
thing that's kept China, how they keep China from invading them. 'Cause, I mean, China, that's all they do. They go around and they're worse than what the Vikings were. They rape, pillage, and plunder more than the Vikings did for natural resources.
It's interesting that you bring this topic up because earlier in the day I was listening to I forget which pod I was listening to. I listen to several different podcasts while I'm trying to work, and the term scorched earth politics came up. And if there was a group or league of nations that has followed through with scorched earth politics, I'm not going to look any farther away than China, Russia, Iran, any nation that believes that communism, the socialism works. Look at how well that has worked out for as somebody who has moved here from, like, say, Cuba and grew up in Cuba as a very young child. And then later, once they got in their mid-adolescence, then immigrated to the U.S. With their parents, or put on a boat to come be with their family over here versus being over there where they would maybe have a half a chance at success. Maybe ask one of those people just how well communism works, because I know several people who have legally immigrated from Cuba to the United States, and they will tell you point blank just how well it works. Now, we also know how much a U.S. doctor, perfect example, we all know how much a U.S. doctor makes in a month. How much do you think a doctor in, let's say, Cuba, how much do you think they make in a month? A doctor.
Lucky if they make $100 a month.
They're lucky if they're a fully capable surgeon as well. They will make tops of $400 a month, and that includes a paid house. They don't own nothing. They're lucky if they own the shoes on their feet. They're damn lucky.
But
Um,
wait, that's the whole World Economic Forum slogan, right? You'll own nothing and you'll be so happy. You'll be so happy. You don't have a house, you don't own your shoes, you're free of all those burdens.
You know, I got two words for the World Economic Forum. It's fuck and you.
Wait. Build back better. Build back better.
I got two words for that too. It mirrors what I just previously said.
You mean my favorite slogan? Set and spin. When you reach the elbow, the ride's over.
I've actually improvised that one, Drew. I've changed it.
You know I've got that on a T-shirt, right? With the
Um,
"Don't tread on me" and that skull flipping you off.
I've actually
I actually had one printed up just for shits and giggles.
ride the razor wrapped forearm. When you hit the elbow, the ride's over. May you enjoy the ripping and tearing on the way off. Yes, I am a sick, twisted, and demented bitch. And my bosses have told me this. But it's very apropos, you know. As I told you, I do not mince my words. You know,
Well, that's lucky. That's lucky that you feel you can even survive because so many people are completely shut up right now. Completely shut up by censorship. And when I talk to ordinary people, because I talk to people everywhere, I talk to strangers, I talk to people in line at the store.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, I hear
love doing it in line in the store. What else do you have to do?
And some people are not up for it. They're not up for it, and you'll find out. But sometimes I do find that they'll give me a blank look at first, and then they'll launch into some actually very personal thing, like about their kid's birthday party and how bad it went, and their ex showed up, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like to ask strangers and see what's going on, but strangers don't. A lot of them have no idea anything is going on, including the censorship. So they don't even realize how skewed is the information they see. Now I'm talking about the average person that you run into at the gas station.
You know the what that it since 2020 was a clusterfuck. I'll be the
Every
first.
day's been Halloween since.
But in so many ways, 2020 really gave birth to what I have been screaming for more than 15 years to people. And that was start getting your ducks in a row and packing it to the rafters, because you don't know when the next big thing is going to come. And I've had so many people that have came back to me in 21 that have told me that, all the questions and all the things that I was talking to people about in about getting the Mr. A can't get into the mines. He's been locked out even by his password. He can't even get in.
Just go through the link.
He can't even get into the link. The mines has completely locked him out.
Damn.
I want to meet him. We got to get him in.
Give me the phone number. I've always got a backup for something.
One of the beautiful things that I love is that these same people that were very doubtful in the beginning have came back to me and said, thankfully, you were right, and we were so glad that we took your advice, um, and they have started getting their ducks in a row and getting stuff together because several of them have lost their jobs. One person actually lost their job and their home after the mandate came out for uh, the jab.
Yeah, I gotta catch you.
And I myself, I'm lucky I haven't had to because I'm allergic to it.
Did they give
And
you an exemption? Because I've heard of like pilots saying the same thing, that they had medical reasons that they shouldn't have it,
they
and
had
the
no
airline still forced them to take it.
they had no because of my specificities, they had no they don't really have an option with me. Um, they had to accept it because of the range of skill sets that I have, and I can't really go into those skill sets.
Cosplay?
No, no, no. Um, I'm very you know, having grown up in a military family and being taught. I was shooting 22 at ridiculous ranges when most kids were getting their first BB gun. I was shooting 22.
Okay, I got a gun before I got a BB gun.
And
that sounds dangerous.
I was driving nails before I could actually ride a pedal bike without crashing into things. I was driving nails. So extrapolate out from there.
So you basically do secret missions then?
I'm very proficient in my skills. The very nature of my job is classified.
Do you mean very proficient at 1,000 yards or more?
No, you could.
I said more.
Well, yeah. Ludicrous distances is a easier. The term from Spaceballs.
I do not mean to put you on the spot. I just was glad that they didn't force you to do something that will kill you, because that's what they're doing to a lot of people. They're forcing people to take things, and random people will say, "Oh, the courts will sort this out, or this will blow over, and not everyone will have to take it." But to me, all that stuff looks like speed bumps. I see jobs just ignoring laws, just straight up ignoring laws, ignoring whether people are going to die. In fact, I've heard that some of the people that testified to the side effects, there was one woman in particular, her workplace had organized a jab day, an employee jab day. And they tried to make it a party. They probably had cookies. And then the lady shows up dead. Next thing, her office calls her mom, and they're like, "Are you going to sue?" So I'm glad that you're left standing.
You know, I'm very lucky that I have somebody that believes in me and knows that they're going to be hard pressed to find somebody else. I've been around for 20 years plus. And in most cases, that doesn't happen. So
no, nowadays you can make it to 10, you're lucky.
In most cases, in my profession, average expectancy is 8 years and under, and in my MOS,
That's less than that.
it's your average time is 3 years or less.
That's mainly because of mental side effects.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And I've managed to carry on for 20 years plus.
So a lot of people, do you see a lot of people have mental side effects? Is that what you said? Because the thing I'm
Absolutely.
curious about is that I saw somebody on Twitter earlier this past couple of days. He said, "This stuff is breaking me.
Absolutely.
What can I do?" And I was thinking about that because
We're seeing
a lot
more
of people are going to
depressions,
go mental.
more suicides.
What's that?
We're seeing more depression, more suicides.
Yes. A lot of people are going to be broken. So,
Well, and here's the other, because I also work in a domestic violence capacity as well. In my spare time, I'm not quite sure what you quantify as spare time, because I theoretically punch the time clock about 110 hours a week. Not sure what sleep is, but anywho,
5 hours, you're lucky.
I
That's my sleep schedule.
I see my pillow periodically. I guess when my pillow winks at me, I know that I've been awake too long.
yeah, when you start seeing stuff move, when things are moving out of the corner of your eye or they start talking to you, then you know you got.
That's when it's just starting to get fun.
Well, yeah, right. That's when you want to ride that fucker out.
Right. There's nothing wrong with a little sleep deprivation from time to time. Makes life interesting.
But you know, in all seriousness,
but I was being serious.
The legitimacy of the one crime. Yes, suicide is. The numbers are astronomical. One is too many. Let's be very clear about that. If you're even considering that, folks, please reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Hotline and talk with those people. They will help you.
Yeah, and I actually have heard a few people say that they called and they got help. And that's good because actually I think average people are pretty bad at they're pretty bad at that conversation.
Drew, our stream is offline.
I'm still showing it online.
I'm showing offline. The live button is showing up, but now it's back on.
All right, I'm gonna kill my video.
That'll
help.
And it just went back offline again.
Touchy subject somewhere.
But the other one that is tragically high is domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
Is up 4,300% from 18 months ago.
Wow, that's interesting.
Well, it's still kind of pushing it. Some of the statistics on that would become still from part of the lockdown.
Part of the lockdown?
Yeah.
The stats that I just quoted is compiling in if things continue on the trajectory that they have been for the previous 18 consecutive months until the end of the week, then they will have hit a all-time high since pre-prohibition.
Well, I believe it.
Of domestic violence?
Yes. Yes.
Do you remember there were these posters that came out? I think it might have been Indonesia, maybe Malaysia. There were these posters recommending to women to wear makeup in lockdown. They said, please, girls, please wear makeup because that will help people be in a better mood.
Well, makeup, I'm not against makeup, but let's call I call things.
You're going to be a traditionalist, aren't you? For all the guys out there,
Yeah, I am. I'm more of a purist.
Well, yeah.
This is an old feud. That's an old feud, a classic feud between men and women, because women always notice that you guys always hit on the girl with makeup. So no matter what you say, I have to, as a girl, I have to stake my claim on the other side that the girl with the makeup and the Victoria's Secret push-up bra, she usually wins.
Yeah, well,
Not really.
Sorry.
Victoria ain't got no fucking secrets. She
No.
ain't had no fucking secrets in a
I
couple
don't
of
know.
decades.
I haven't seen it lose.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've had to pull security at a few of those joints, and yeah, Victoria ain't got no secrets. Trust me.
Yeah, there's good stuff
They
in
don't
there.
make the push-up bra they make a push-up bra for a reason.
Well, I mean, let's see. If a guy is gonna brush his teeth in the morning, shave, and put on reasonable pants, a girl is gonna try to do everything she can to like accent her good features, right?
Yep.
It's not that she's trying to lie, but also she shouldn't just go out there being a slob. You don't like that either. Guys complain when girls go to the grocery store looking like slobs. Actually, even sometimes I see what girls are doing these days. Like, especially they're coloring their hair gray in their 20s.
Yeah, I don't
They're
get
coloring
that one.
Yeah.
I think that is very deliberately to make us not breed.
I
That's actually a good point.
I can be quite frequently. Unfortunately I live in a small Midwest town of just under 8,000. And
I got it.
smoking,
Maybe.
smoking. If you don't, I will. Edgar, goodbye. Fuck, I can't even delete the comment.
I deleted it. I removed it.
All I had the option to do was put in timeout or boot, and I don't know where that went to. But
YouTube wants me to go back and revisit a few things
right,
because some of these links that when I track back down to the profile pages, they're actually profiles that were deactivated and posting,
yep,
which you cannot do. So therefore, that can only happen one way, and that's behind the scenes, which means you have to have access to YouTube.
yep,
And I clearly documented that in a video.
yeah.
During the little porn attack phase that they were going through.
Yep.
All those little porn bots, supposedly.
Yeah, that's what this one was a porn bot.
Like I said, YouTube don't want me to open that Pandora's box. Because I have all the research and some links. If you want to see some really fucked up shit that are hidden on YouTube via private links.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I bet that's a whole world. And that's not even the dark web, right? Like, the dark web is the whole glacier.
Some of the shit you probably only think you'd see on the dark web.
And it's hidden on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that is like in still images that people will post on, like, in a camera roll. They'll hide specific things in pictures and hidden links. And
shit, there's some dark ass BDSM fetish on here.
Oh yeah.
I mean dark.
I think it's funny.
Dark.
Yeah, the stuff they allow, and then the stuff that you get kicked off. I just saw this girl I follow on Twitter. She's in jail for another 3 days. They said that what she said was hate speech. It was nothing like that. So,
well, I mean, Facebook was going around this week, blocking and putting people under
house
Facebook
arrest.
jail. Yeah, house arrest for a Thomas Paine quote.
Oh boy. Yeah, the founding fathers are I know Thomas Paine is a separate thing, but the founding fathers, Adams, Washington, blah blah, they are considered domestic terrorists basically.
Well, because I mean, if they were around today, we'd have been in a Revolutionary War.
Yeah, I did have a Canadian arguing with me today, and they didn't have any kind of, I mean, even in a dispute, some kind of dispute with the queen, give me something. But I don't think they had any kind of good, like, substance dispute with the queen. In all this time, is that the case, that Canadians have been there the whole time, just going along to get along?
Yep, bending over to the queen.
And they get really mad too when you say that.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yeah, they don't like that. They're like, read the charter. We don't actually do that for the queen. It's a figurehead. But I think just the point that mentally they're okay with having a king is a completely different thing than the United States.
Yep. But I mean, it goes back to my little pet peeve about the
caste system.
Yeah.
God, we've discussed that. That has gotten more attention, and we've spent more time talking about the caste, between caste systems and censorship. That has gotten equal airplay between your channel and mine than I think about any other topic. And it's,
I mean, the caste system is everything, though.
Right.
I mean, clear down to look at our terminology. We got the rich, we got our billionaires, millionaires, and we got the elites, which who knows how much they're actually worth. But they're all part of the upper caste system. And you break them down by social class if you want, just to keep them. So there's a little breakdown in between them. There's this person pulling this person's string, this person that's string's being pulled, pulling the one under them. And they think they run things, and they don't run nothing. But their whole goal and purpose is to keep that social structure of the caste system intact, to where we're subjugated to this label.
Well, they definitely feel superior. They feel superior. And then they've done a really good job of dumbing down the population so that the population
like the crazy Karens of the world and the crazy Kens of the world, the mask ninjas. I love dealing with those. Oh, fuck. Here we got another one.
Well, they're just having fun on my little playground, aren't they?
Yeah.
No, I guess I didn't get the warning from the previous video, so I haven't finished editing the shit out yet. But comes around. I believe in cause and effect.
Yep.
You seem to stay calm. Like, in the face of so much going on, I see you be kind of calm and positive.
I don't know what positive, but yeah, I stay fairly calm. That's all.
Why get excited? Why get fired up and excited? Because that's I don't like feeding the trolls.
I can tell you from maybe an elitist perspective why you want to see that. I mean, psychic vampirism 101, so you can feed off it. Feed off that energy. And I mean, that's what it's all about for these guys. But they're worse than a blood-sucking vampire because they're feeding off your actual life force energy.
But that's what the crazy Karens and the crazy Kens of the world are actually doing, but they're doing it subconsciously.
Right. Well, I mean, it's all a mental game. It's all psychological warfare.
Yeah, it is.
Amazing Polly was passing around a link this week about, and I know there have been some different clips about why so many people are going along with this. And in this particular clip, the guy said that about 30% of the population, they will feel safe with totalitarian control. They will feel safe and it will make them feel like they're a part of something and they get to be a hero. And so they're invested in keeping it going. They're very invested.
I mean, it's a nice little world. You haven't opened your eyes and actually see what's going on.
Yeah, and I have completely the opposite take.
Yeah,
completely
no,
the opposite.
That's the kind of world I want to live in.
Yeah, I'm not a control crazed person, so
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a very dominant person, male, but
that's an interesting topic, actually. The strength in males and how that ties in with control, because if you watch animals, sometimes male animals, yeah, they need control over their territory. They're aggressive, blah, blah, blah. But these days, you have the soy boys actually participating in a different kind of control. Whereas an alpha guy or a guy who has a lot of confidence, a lot of strength, he actually wants to be free and doesn't care. So I know as a girl, if I'm around a lot of strong guys, they probably are not going to care if I'm wearing a mask. But if I'm around soy guys, they are going to police me and they're actually going to give me a hard time, and they do when they have access to me. I don't give them a lot of access to do that, but yeah, those kinds of guys would want to enforce a lot of control.
And you know how much control the betas of male or females get from me? They get absolutely zero.
You mean they don't get satisfaction from you? Is that what you're saying?
Coming from a military family of many generations, I wasn't hardwired that way. I was hardwired. You go into a situation, and coming from out of being taught from a very young age, jiu-jitsu and judo, you don't allow that. You simply take charge, disarm, kick ass, and forget about taking names.
I'm glad if you have that line of thinking, because it's bothered me seeing the military people go through these mandates. And some of the military people I know, they seem like the training has had the opposite effect, where they know to fall in line. And in fact, they even seem so used to being poisoned by their own government that they don't even try to fight it.
The whole military mandate thing it's all about weeding out the alphas. They want to get rid of all the alphas and have nothing but betas.
That's an interesting take, because the people that I saw, the ones who are willing to say no, and that's a very, very small part of the population. And yeah, so those kinds, I see them say no, but they're going to be set apart. And then you're right that the people, and you know what else I noticed too, among the people who go along with this is a lot of kind and compliant people are going to be weeded out of society. So if we end up losing a portion of people, if not everybody survives this and a certain part of the population is going to be left, it's going to be the bitches who are left. I hate to say it. It's like the Wild West. Like in the Wild West, who was there? It wasn't people who were kind, cooperative, funny. I mean, funny maybe, but cooperative, no.
They end up dealing with, I remember my basic training was 32 weeks of fucking hell, land, sea, and air, and it was nothing enjoyable to me. I learned an awful lot. Most importantly, I learned how to stay alive.
They're not so much getting that kind of training, because actually, I don't know if you caught the video with Sword Point 9 and his son. His son just got out of the military, and throughout almost every branch, they've lowered the bar
Yes.
to what
Yes.
need to be to get in, to where
Yes.
it's more suited for the beta than the alpha.
Well,
Yeah, that's true. Ouch.
you know, the
Ouch.
one area that I could speak to in my my area of battlefield specificities, to achieve the that uh MOS, you had to be a 98 or better to even be considered to go to that school.
Right.
Just and you know, as the old line, 100 people will stand, but only 3 will be chosen out of that 100.
That's on a good year.
That is a generous number. In the training that I went through in the school that I went to, there was, I think, 400 in my class that tested. 400, and only 4 made it out of the first day. The first day, 4 made it out. Of that 4, only 2 of us made it over in the desert. And only one of us is still alive today. Sad to say, but, you know.
Speaking of which, the SEALs just lost one of their own.
Huge loss.
Yeah.
Huge. I actually spent a fair amount of time with that man.
That was a good man.
I hold him in highest regard. Unfortunately, I cannot make his funeral because of various reasons. And there are several reasons why I cannot make that funeral, and none of it has to do with mandates or anything like that. It's current situations that does not enable me to be able to make that. Unfortunately,
now there's somebody, if ever, should be put in the Congress building to lay at rest before he's buried. There's the person that should have.
Yeah, and that was discussed. I believe
it'd be the first that ever happened.
Yeah, he would be the first one, because he was a certified badass, and a instructor as well.
Well, look at how much better the American men and women are than our leaders. It's embarrassing. And what you're talking about is a person who was way beyond as far as skills and commitment to what he was contributing in his lifetime. That's way beyond. And you look at the cowardice of our leaders, it's embarrassing. The whole thing is upside down. It's completely upside down. That a person like that, how recognized will they be? And then you have somebody like Jeffrey Toobin, jacking off online and having a whole career. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I want to say that
he still has his job.
Oh yeah, they love it. They love it. I don't know what happened to him, but those people are just rotated in and out, right? They show up somewhere else.
Now they end up reinstating him.
Yeah.
I mean,
I want to say that.
But then again, let's look at the pedophilia that's running rampant through that one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it never ends. It never ends with these people. They truly have a different aesthetic. Their different aesthetic sense of what they find enticing and wonderful and what they want to create for a society. Yeah, it's completely upside down.
Yeah, it's upside down, and it's quite sick too. I mean, when you start looking at laws that California has passed, lowering the age of consent,
Oh, did they
even
get
going
that
down to
through?
prostitution.
Did they
Got
get
that
that
through? Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, and what hypocrites to then pretend with the whole Me Too movement that they care about one thing and then
The only thing I thought funny about the Me Too movement was the hashtag. I mean, pound Me Too.
Well, it's funny, somewhere in there was a guy who got taken down by the Me Too movement, and he was a Democrat, I think maybe in New York. He was like a famous, well-known Democrat, and he was known for being domestically abusive. And it was, as a girl, what you can't, so much of this, you can't cry, so you have to laugh. And it was just a string of these women describing how this man, who was a leader against domestic abuse, how he would lead the marches, and then he'd be punching these women at home, and the women kept going back, and the women are like, well, he shouldn't have been punching me while I lived with him. And I'm thinking, I've never been punched even one time by a guy. No guy has ever treated me or abused me the way my government does. So these girls out here who are out here protesting with the Me Too, they're in a whole different world.
Well, we go back to the Trump inauguration, the women's march movement, all the pussy hats and all that. What ruined that movement and every movement from that point on is when a female reporter was trying to report what they were doing and asking questions. A guy walked up, punched her in the face, and all these women protected that guy from the cops. In the 80s, not early 90s, and definitely not in the 70s, that would have never happened. It would have been the cops struggling to get all those women off that guy from killing him.
It is definitely something to see these hypocrites try to, like, something like you're talking about there, where it requires a fast response, and mentally you can see them thinking of the cubby holes of the victim hierarchy, and they have to calculate really fast what trumps what, like sexuality and race and all these different categories that they try to put people in and decide how abused you are. It's really funny how you cannot possibly work it out logically. You will be a hypocrite when you go by that standard, and they can't figure it out. And they sure can't figure it out quick.
Well, my take on that.
I'd get in so much trouble if I was there.
Well,
the cops would be hauling me off to jail.
To springboard off of what y'all were talking about, I had to step away for a second, was what I see, and this is just purely my take on it, is the complete shift of the moral compass that has taken place has went completely out the window at this point. When
the metaverse comes out,
when
it's going to be ugly in there.
Yes, it is.
When and I can go back to, because of where I live, being in the Midwest, Kenosha is not that far from me, and knowing that whole situation from the jump, had they mobilized faster, and they had used the National Guard as they normally would do in any mass situation like they did in Ferguson. And yes, I was there. I know all too well how that situation unfolded.
It unfolded. It actually, the Ferguson was a backfire against them. And that's some of the reason for the push to get rid of all the alphas out of the military and the Guard. Well, they ran into the stumbling block on the Guard.
And the biggest issue is, they already had I want to say 4,500 guardsmen in Kenosha, actually in the city of Kenosha, at the time that Kyle was going down the street that night. They had 4,500 troops in town and ready to roll. And if they had used them the way that the guard usually operates, if the uh, powers that be would have stepped aside and let the National Guard do what they do best, and deal with this situation, Kenosha, yes, sadly, Mr. Blake would have been shot. You could not have stopped that situation. But the immediate, the backlash after night one's riots would have been quashed going into night two. And you would not have had two more people that would have been shot who were not, let's be clear, were not model citizens. And the third victim in this situation, who was maimed for life, Kyle did exactly what you're supposed to do in that situation. You neutralize the threat. You end the threat. That's what you're trained to do.
Even in martial arts, that's what you're trained to do.
Exactly.
I mean, you're instantly. I mean, depends how much training you got. Yeah, and what particular forms you were trained in.
Yeah,
I mean, all I see when I get that, when I'm in that situation, I don't even see the person in front of me. I see the strike tree. And you know what the strike tree is.
Oh yeah, intimately.
So it's not. It's all about hitting the right spot or spots so the fight's done and over with right then and there. And that's why some states, I mean, back in the 90s, Ohio, you had to register your feet and hands as deadly weapons once you reached a certain point. I mean, they finally got rid of that, but there for a while I had to register my hands and feet.
You had to register your hands and feet.
Once you
deadly weapon.
In most states, once you pass a second degree black belt or higher, you are required to register. I'm sufficiently past that in a dual discipline.
I want to be a weapon. I'm not a weapon. I can't even open jars. Huh?
Everybody's a weapon. They just don't know it.
It's because I do a lot.
Everything is a weapon.
Your car keys, a simple 3-inch carabiner, and a set of house keys, car keys, garage keys.
Say, especially some of these people. You see how long some of their car chains are?
Exactly. That's exactly what. Weapons. You put that carabiner on
in their eyeballs.
You wrap it in your knuckles.
Okay.
And you run that across somebody's face.
Ow! Ouch!
It lights out. They're going to have the neat thing about keys is keys grab DNA.
Yep.
Ouch.
And keys then can be used to identify the subject. And trust me, they're going to need medical attention after they've been hit in the eyes with keys.
By me, because I'm a weapon.
Yep. Everybody is. They just don't realize it. And they don't realize they're actually wherever you're standing or setting. This is the scary part about some people. If I walk into a McDonald's or a bar, let's use a bar. There's a lot of fun stuff in a bar. I instantly, first thing I'm looking at exits,
Yep. Check.
bouncers,
Check.
weapons.
Check. You missed one.
No, I didn't. I classified those as weapons.
No.
Because
you
everything in that
missed
bar
one.
is pretty much a weapon. From your pool stick, pool balls, your beer bottle, your chair.
Potential threats.
Yep.
You met that. That's the one that you did miss. Potential threats.
All I can hear is nunchucks.
Everything in a bar is a potential threat.
Yeah, to be fair. But the person that is standing.
I mean, fuck it, McDonald's. Your straws are weapons.
Yep.
Ooh, these days people going crazy at McDonald's. My God, they're going after the people behind the counter.
McDonald's,
Some good fight videos from McDonald's.
That is the saddest. That's a very sad testament to 2021. Good fight videos from McDonald's. That is so sad.
It's not just McDonald's though. I mean, you're seeing it at Popeyes and sad to say, St. Louis, everything's open season in St. Louis. It's like that town never takes the day off. I'm telling you.
No, I'll tell you a city that never takes the day off. I've been biting my tongue over this one for a little bit.
Chicago.
Fuck Chicago. Chicago's lame. They need to bring back the mafia and the gangsters to Chicago.
It'll clean up real quick if you bring back the old school mobster mentality. I'm
gonna start carrying straws now. I got my straws on me.
I'd be carrying something heavier than straws, but that's
from my McDonald's fight video starring moment. Now, if you guys see me in a McDonald's fight, I'll be trying to put those straight through a potato.
I mean, even your salt and pepper shakers are a weapon. Man can't see. A person can't see. They can't fight.
Taking them out one by one. Hey.
And salt in the eyes or pepper in the eyes.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Pepper
see, that would hurt. That would hurt.
The ultimate, that you take the fight right out of somebody once they can't see, it's over.
That's better than instantly going for the throat.
Ow.
Or the side of the knee.
I'm starting to think McDonald's. I'm not sure McDonald's is worth all that.
There ain't no restaurant worth all that. This is coming from somebody who used to be a sous chef in restaurants.
Oh, so you're a good cook, huh?
Very.
Well, so I stayed a little bit later than I was supposed to because I enjoy you guys. And so I have to get going. But I do want to say that the media wants to make it that men and women are fighting. And it's the holidays, so I'm just representing from the ladies' side that we love you guys. I see a lot of the funny stuff you say. You make me laugh all the time. And I enjoy your presence.
You need to come back.
I would love to come back. It's an honor to hang out with you guys tonight. And in case anybody wants to get in touch with me, can I give out my Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on Twitter at Hollywood Hates Us, and they ran out of letters, so there's only one L in that. It's like Hollywood Hates Us. And I do have a Proton Mail. It's HollywoodStinks at protonmail.com. Your audience is welcome to email me all kinds of funny stuff. I love our people. I absolutely love our people. So thanks for being you, and thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. You're always welcome back anytime I'm live.
It was very nice to see you guys tonight. All right, have a good night.
Yep.
All right. But now, I've been done letting the subject slip. The shit that happened in fucking New York.
Oh, the big stink.
I mean, all right. First off, I've always loved history. Well, part of our history is understanding that during World War II, there was this thing called the Great Race. And that does not mean race, as people's colors. It means a race to compete against other countries to get these scientists, these top SS lieutenants, and majors or whatever their ranking were as SS, to get all these top people to train and advance our sciences, just advance our science, train our FBI and CIA in particular. In fact, was it the FBI? Yeah, it was the FBI, wasn't it, or the CIA that was completely trained from these war criminals that we rescued and brought over here and gave them pardons, basically, kept them from going to the Nuremberg trials.
You know, that's another one that has, you know, it's funny that you would mention the Nuremberg, because that has been talked about very, very heavy everywhere I turn today. I don't know if
It
that
keeps
was
getting brought up, but the more I've looked into it, it doesn't apply.
no, I don't believe it does. But it's been it's been popping up in, you know, I it
And
popped
actually,
up.
let me actually state why the main reason why it doesn't apply. It could apply, and it should apply, but you brainwash people out there keep getting this thing willingly, so therefore they're not testing a vaccine or experimental drugs on the population. So therefore, the Nuremberg trial, when it comes to that certain aspect of using drugs, chemicals, and this and that on citizens, doesn't apply, because you're willingly accepting that this might be the cure-all for the fourth, fifth time. I don't know how many times you got to be lied to, but you know, we've seen that that was also part of World War II, the Nazis' propaganda machine. We're actually seeing and repeating history in a very dangerous way, except for it's global. You know, some countries have got it worse than what we've got it, thankfully. Not being disrespectful to the countries that are going through some of the crap that are going through, like Australia. But then
Yeah,
again,
that was
it goes back to have a fucking backbone. You should have stood up a long time ago and got your gun rights reinstated in Australia. But yes, Australia was a prison colony to start off with, or penal colony, as they British called it.
what
But
I found very
and
interesting.
our people, I mean, well, shit, we got concentration camps going on in Australia right now.
What I found this week, it was very, very early. It was either Sunday or Monday. I caught a blurb. It's over 500, approaching 900 people had faulty, I guess maybe because they were using a specific test that has been known to um, give false results, and something that everybody, well, not everybody, but people who were within the know already knew to be a faulty system, um, was already in the that way has been finally ruled as a no-go, and that ruling just came down today. Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here, but
Because I just lost all background noise.
what ruling was that? Because I'm not actually didn't catch that one today.
I just lost all audio.
Really?
1 second.
What about now? Somehow my mic muted itself. I lost your audio, so.
Yep. That's weird.
Oh, somehow my mic actually muted itself.
And my computer muted itself.
Yeah, I guess we're touching on some topics I don't want to touch on. Fuck you.
But yeah, I thought that was very interesting that they don't, apparently somebody don't like hearing what I'm speaking about, but you know where the magic ride is. It's just weird. You know, people, you're right. People do need to start waking up and speaking up, but if they don't believe that they have a dog to fight with, and you can't convince people to stand up and speak up, you know, what other recourse do you have but let them go back to what they started out with, I guess, maybe, question mark?
I mean, some people, I mean, yeah, they don't. I mean, they're afraid of the backlash. I mean, that video that today that's been floating around with what happened in Applebee's in New York with this kid and all those fine SS New York officers. Yes, I'm going to call you that because that's what you acted like. Asking for paperwork. What's next? You going to help them to the trains? Or help them to your little tent city that you've built?
I'm
sorry. I have no respect. And I'm going to state this very clearly. If you wear a uniform and you've taken the oath to protect and serve, don't do what just happened in New York, because you'll get no respect from me. In fact, I'm going to call you for what you are. You're no better than an SS officer, because that's the shit that they did.
I'm going to go one step further.
This paperwork thing is bullshit. The little thing that came out of Biden's mouth today is bullshit. Wanting you to have vaccine paperwork to travel across state lines. Fuck you. You don't control our states. And remember your Constitution, bitch. Wait, you don't, because you don't care about our Constitution. Your whole party don't. And there's a bunch of Republicans that don't either. They prove it time and time again. What Biden said today should be immediate grounds for impeachment. But there ain't a single fucking Republican or Democrat in our Congress that has the backbone to bring it up. And you're going to come election time, which is coming up for these guys, you're going to vote these same cocksuckers back into office because they're red, because you adhere to a label. No, none of these guys who are currently in office should be ever voted back in. They failed you in every step of the way. They don't care about you.
There are a couple exceptions.
There are no exceptions.
Kent out of Wisconsin. He's been working his ass off to try and keep this state as red as it has been, and he's been keeping our governor in line pretty hard, and that's why we've not seen since the last election, why you haven't seen any more heavy since the last Wisconsin mandates came out and got struck down in state court, why there hasn't been any more that came out is because partially because of the rep Kent out of Wisconsin. He's pretty much about it as hard red, hard conservative, constitutionalist as they come.
Okay.
And
If he was such a constitutionalist, then he'd know his job.
he's
Once you become elected to our federal government, and to our Congress, and our House, and our Senate, it is not about your fucking state. Yes, your state votes you in. You are the representative of your state, but it is about we the people, all the people, not your state's people.
he's been working pretty damn hard. And
that's what people fail to forget. Keep forgetting that once they're elected into our Congress, yes, they represent that state, but they represent all of us from every state. No matter what state they are from, they represent the whole United States. So if they're only doing shit for their state, they ain't doing their job because they're not listening to what everybody else says.
He's also been very he's been pretty vocal about speaking out on impeachment stuff on the current president already.
Being vocal is one thing. They're all vocal. I mean, it's the dog and pony show with those guys. They talk a good game. But
I want to see the action. Where's
the action? Actions speak louder than words, and I'm tired of hearing all of them run their mouth when it's the same song and dance over and over. I want to see somebody take action. I tell you what, back in the day,
where I'm at.
Jackson was president, he took fucking action. And if you were dumb enough to go what he thought was against we the people, he'd take you outside and duel you.
Yeah, the one I always kind of
over what they estimate over 100 duels while he was in Congress.
Good Lord.
Yeah. He's the reason they banned duels.
There's,
I mean,
a lot of these cops up in New York that are doing these unconstitutional acts, I think that they're far worse than the SS actually, or the Nazis. They should actually be
they are minus the war crimes.
They should be charged under and
haven't gotten that far yet. But we can argue that with much crime is happening in New York, that
the argument
you're
here
harassing a kid because he doesn't have paperwork. So you're bullying, terrorizing a child that's no more than probably 5, 6 years old.
That by definition would fall into a high crimes and treasonous acts, definitely just short of war crimes, definitely just short. But
you know what the argument's going to be about this stuff. The whole argument is, there is an oath. They have, protect and serve. Well, they are serving. They're serving the protection of the other people in the building that
they're serving the mayor. That's who they're fucking serving.
The people.
They're serving the mayor and his wishes, not the average day citizen. And that's the problem that I have with the NYPD. Now there are some.
I mean, there is an argument, and we can't argue this argument because things need changed. But Applebee's is a private run business.
Yep.
So therefore, it goes clear back to the 90s, 80s. They have the right to serve who they wish. But as a citizen, I have a right never to eat there again. I'll never work for you again either. So. And I would tell anybody out there, one, if anybody's going to be a waitress or a hostess at Applebee's, you don't get paid shit. It's basically you're just slave labor. I know that for a fact. Because I've worked at an Applebee's.
And the food ain't all that spectacular to begin with. It's overpriced.
It's overpriced. The food can be good if you got good cooks in the back that know what they're doing. And if you're like in certain states, bigger cities, they actually do have some good cooks. They actually pay the cooks.
I've ate in several Applebee's and I've only found a couple that were worth a tinker's damn, and surprisingly one was outside of Kansas City, and the other one was I think it was just off the Ohio Turnpike. But God, that one's been donkey years ago, because I try to avoid the turnpike out, the Ohio Turnpike, like the plague.
It ain't that bad now.
Huh?
It ain't that bad now.
No, I try to avoid the Ohio Turnpike like the plague.
But you know, the stunt that was pulled in New York City, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that was over the top.
That's went too far. But it goes to the point, though. You know, now they're crying about, well, we're going to lose a bunch of money. Well, your stupid mayor that put these mandates in effect that, well, we don't want no tourists in here that aren't vaccinated, can't prove they're vaccinated. Right? Well, don't come crying. You allow this to happen because you elect these people in. And you have a say at the voters' booth. You have a say. Even now, you could petition your state legislation to impeach this cocksucker. But you don't. And you got crime running rampant, where cops should be on the streets dealing with these crimes. Some of these have been downright heinous. I mean, broad daylight, execution-style murder.
Yep.
But yeah, all these cops are complaining. We're the first ones to complain in New York about mandates and having to be vaccinated.
Murders up 4,000%, the highest that it's been since pre-prohibition.
I mean, I'll tell you right now. I'm going places. I can tell you some of the 3 top states I will not go to right now. New York. You will not get no place in New York will ever get my business. Chicago and California. By far, 3 of the worst states in the United States right now because of their elected officials, the mandates, how they change their laws to suit them as they see fit, where it only protects them and makes them money, and the everyday people suffer.
And
probably each of the 3 have probably are the top, almost the top in the top 5 of having the most corrupt police enforcement.
You could add Hawaii to that. An argument could be
Hawaii's getting bad. I caught some stories out of there.
Hawaii. You can't go anywhere, literally anywhere, without a mask. It's 100%, whether you've taken it or completely and thoroughly or not. And if you don't have it, you're pretty much allowed to have your groceries delivered to your doorstep. Otherwise, you're not allowed in any businesses. You can't go into. You can't even do eat outside. You can't go to the beaches.
No, I refer to what's happening in Australia, but in a sense, we went through that already. Just we didn't have to go to a concentration camp, although that's coming.
Well, Hawaii.
Let me finish. We got locked down. instead, and we all complied.
They tried that shit in Wisconsin, and it didn't. We see how well that worked.
I mean, but for the most part, you did have a bunch of people that didn't go out. I mean, like I said, I'm an introvert in many ways, and I was out more during the lockdown than I have been this year or previous years, because wow, I got to go out. Not a bunch of people in the store. Nobody's really out. I mean, got to really enjoy nature because you didn't have a bunch of people around screwing things up. But the saddest thing, we allowed our churches and temples to be shut down. And, you know, I got into this before, and the fact is, that right there, we had the number one rallying cry, and we all laid over. Most of us laid over. Some of us were very vocal about it because they cannot shut down our churches and places of worship. Right there, everybody had the best ground to go after their states. You know, Trump, he made some fucked up choices. Allowing Fauci to stay on as long as he did. You know, listening to a person that has a very shady history dating back to the 80s, shady and dirty. This person shouldn't be even allowed to give scientific advice to a high school. It's how shady and bad this character is when it comes to Fauci. But yet, all of Trump's administration, all of Biden's administration to this point, all this COVID shit, Fauci's been the leading expert, and he's been found to be dirty as fuck. But yet, Congress won't subpoena him and investigate him. Nope, he's our leading source of information. Well, goes back to what Bree said earlier about all these so-called tests that Biden wants to send out now. Well, the CDC dropped a little bombshell on those today.
Yep, PCRs. And
they're not accurate. They can't just differentiate between the flu and COVID.
And the funny thing is guess what I seen when the mega multi-conglomerate news sources were saying that they couldn't get enough of that particular test to go around, but yet they wanted to send 550 million test kits out of that type of test out to every registered voter, at every registered voter's address in the country. They wanted to send them out immediately, but they didn't have any. And guess what I seen at my local Walgreens store when I went in there the other day?
Well, yeah, they've got an overabundance of them. Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, your fucking local library. When I went for my rapid test, I had the doctor even tell me, well, they're only 84% accurate.
I don't even think they're that.
They're not. Yeah, because me and him got into the argument of statistics.
Yeah.
You don't want to go there with me.
Yeah, my doctor found that one out the hard way too.
But out of all that little, provocation that he tried to provoke, that I quickly countered, eventually he came out with statistics that the test, even the rapid test that you get at the hospital, is only 84% accurate. So you could still potentially have COVID.
There's, this, as I have said all along since this shit, you and I were both sick at the same fucking time in December of 19. sicker than shit. And I've had both strains. I have not had the current one. Knock on wood.
I've had the first one and I haven't had an issue since.
And I've had both, and I'm out in public quite a bit. But here's the thing. The I haven't changed anything about the way I go about life at all. But the when I've said all along, if it doesn't matter if it's bacterial or viral, it can be picked up and detected by a blood test. You do not need to go up the nose. You can do a simple blood test. And yes, they do have blood tests that will not only test for antibodies, but it also will test if you have an active and ongoing, because your cell counts are going to be through the roof in a negative load. Um, so, yes, it is very capable of telling if you are very ill with a viral or a bacterial.
I mean, truthfully, what it all came down to, it was a fear propaganda from the start.
Oh, fuck yeah. And it's all
And it's
been
about
about
control.
control. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. I'll be right back in 2 seconds. I got to refill my beverage.
Yeah, I'm not trying to refill my beverage. I've already had, what, 2, 3? Obviously, one too many if I can't remember where I stopped at, so. And the little pen's not helping matters either. But, it's all been about fear and control. Then we're starting to see, the worst of these of certain states. It all started with the mandates from Biden threatening he was going to do mandates. This is my whole thing. There's been, other than certain states, there's been no pen put to paper in our federal government, whether from the president or our Congress. So therefore, it is not a law. Just because I said I'm mandating you to not drive your vehicle for a week, not go to work for a week. Okay. What authority do I have? Absolutely not. I'm just saying that. Biden has the authority if he makes an executive order. Congress has an authority if they bring it up and propose it as a bill. If they don't do none of those things, then actually what they are doing is intimidation, bullying, being dictators, acting worse than the mob ever did. And you guys can say, no, that's not true. Well, yes, it is. It's actually very true. Because at least the mob, they use physical abuse. Mental abuse is something completely different. Psychological abuse is totally different than physical abuse. Physical abuse, some people, most people, get over it quick. Okay, I got my ass kicked. Whoopty. Yeah, that hurt. Well, then some of us just don't know when's enough to keep going back for more and more because, hey, kind of pleasurable. Mental abuse, psychological warfare, isn't a funny game. It isn't like physical abuse. It's a lot deeper. It digs clear down into your subconscious. And it's worse some would say far worse than any PTSD you could ever suffer through. Especially when reality sets in and you realize what happened. We actually talked about some fairly good things earlier about depression, the suicide rates are up, domestic violence cases are up. These are things that happen when you've been psychologically manipulated. When you feel that you have no control of your life. That you've reached rock bottom, but you can't find your way out of the dark. And subconsciously, you need to act out. Whether it be through emotion, through physical, or mental abuse. When we're the ones being abused by the very people we put in power, psychologically. And that's where the problem is. We're not playing by the old school rules. Okay, let's just take you out back. The better man will win, or the better woman will win. Nothing like a good cat fight anyway. I'd rather watch a cat fight, two dudes fight, so. And women can be more brutal and vicious than men, so it's usually interesting. But no, we're not there anymore. Why? Well, most of our alphas are been removed, taken away. Ashamed to speak out, and you shouldn't be. You're an alpha. But I was going to say this when Hollywood Stinks brought it up. There was another reason for this. Betas can't lead. Alphas, yes, we can be territorial. We can be overprotective, overbearing. But yes, we are in most cases solitary until needed. Don't want to be around people. We don't want to be put in that position. A true alpha knows when it's time to be solitary and lead. And that's what sets them apart.
Agreed.
Because there is a time to set back and mind your own P's and Q's. Just like, a true alpha is only as good and is only as strong as the female alpha next to him. Otherwise, the male alpha is kind of out of control, chaotic, more violent, because it doesn't have the female alpha to rein him in. Or the male, vice versa, because they can switch positions at will. It's just like this truth, but one of the truest sayings in the world. Our best leaders, our best kings and queens, were only as good as the queens at their side. It takes two. It goes back to that duality and stuff that really don't want to get into. It's not for this channel. But what we're seeing take place, what took place in New York, that gets my blood burning. And I've been kind of nice about the subject thus far. I completely condone what the cops did there. When they've got crime running rampant on the streets. And you want to bully, frighten a child. A child. Let me rephrase. Not even a teenager. A child. In many ways, you're no better than the SS officers that did atrocities. In fact, you're becoming more like them every day. When you start taking people's freedoms and rights away. When you know something's unconstitutional and you still adhere to the order when you're supposed to protect the people. Yes, the argument can and will be made that it is a private business and they have the right to serve who they want. That's actually that business's loss. But those rules and laws should be changed as well. Because I've seen those very same rules and laws be used to discriminate against many people for many different reasons, whether it be race, religion, sexuality, political beliefs. It has been abused. Therefore, that right should be taken away from the private businesses. And some may argue and disagree with that. Cool. And it's always open for debate. Because through good debate, we might find a solution to fix it. But right now, we're not fixing it. We're allowing it to happen. You know, and what I thought was cool, and there's some respect towards some of the staff there at that particular Applebee's, because they could have really made it look real bad and justified what took place by saying it was a protester. But by them saying it was not a protester, it does.
Makes you question.
It makes you question, but it also it makes it kind of worse. But at the same time, it can't be, and it was a way to defuse the propaganda from either side. Because that they would have said, "Oh, it was a protester. We'll prove it." But that would have just, truthfully, pretty much squashed it in most people's eyes. Oh, it was just another crazy protester using their kids. It could have got turned around the other way real quick, and it didn't because of what the person said. But it gives no. There should be no mandates for showing paperwork. We're not living in Germany. And that's the scary part of where we're at right now. These so-called, you got to show me your paperwork. How many more businesses are going to pick up that? See, Applebee's is a franchise. It's not really a individual restaurant. It's a franchise. So now you got to figure out, well, which is that, Apple Gold or Apple East, I think, or Silver? I can't remember all the different ones, or Apple South. But there's different franchises. So is that practiced throughout all their franchises or just the one in New York? See, now you have to look in, find out which franchise that is and where all that franchise's store chains are. Because they could be using the same practice in a state that ain't doing those mandates, but it is the franchise's policy. That's why it's so important what happened there, because that franchise could have have another Applebee's in Ohio, Connecticut, wherever. But because they have that mandate, they could actually use that for every single one of their franchises, even though the state is against it and does not have those mandates. And you could be discriminated upon because of that. Now, if more and more companies take this up, this is why I won't shop at Kroger's either. Now, my list is starting to grow pretty good. I won't shop at Bernard's, Applebee's, Kroger's, and quite a few actually. I wouldn't do Walmart if I didn't have a choice.
Well, I'm kind of in that, and I've already.
But there's no Republics or any other place. There's an Aldi's.
And Aldi's, I haven't been at Aldi's in several. I have an Aldi's in my town, but I haven't been to Aldi's in Probably 5 years, but as a teller or cashier told me at Walmart that Aldi's went downhill since they went more mainstream commercialized
Yes,
goods than their in-house brands. And I'm like, yeah, well,
but I can still get more groceries shopping at Aldi's than I could ever get at Walmart.
it's, for me, Aldi's became, because there were only certain items that I would get there.
Yeah,
Because
honestly, you're going there for like your pastas, your rices, your canned goods. You're there for your bulk items, your covered items. You're not there for the fresh foods because I mean now the fresh foods ain't that bad, but
well, I had a issue with one of their meats.
I've never buy my meats there.
I had an issue with their meat and their lettuce.
Yeah, I don't buy no produce or meats there. It's strictly I'm there for the canned goods, the big bulk items like your cereals and stuff.
What ended up with me was I ended up with salmonella from the meats, and that was if you ever had salmonella, that was just a nasty one in and of itself. And then about a week later, I don't even think it was a week, I ended up getting listeria off the damn lettuce, and my God. And Mr. A just asked for some prayers. He definitely could use some. I sent you a text on what's going on.
Yeah, I see that. He's been going through it. He has not had the best couple months.
And it gets deeper than that. I'll give you the sit rep on that in the green room. But the biggest thing is, and Mr. A, if you're out there watching and listening in the weeds, you are in our thoughts and prayers to speedy recovery. And that I thought that the first one was bad, but getting listeria on the back side of that, that was no fucking joke. I spent probably 7 or 8 days in the shitter, where I literally didn't leave the toilet. And it was bad. And just about ended up in the hospital over that one. And I after that I never went back for absolutely anything, and all of the canned goods that I had purchased, and you know me, if my mentality, if I go shopping for something, if I need like 4 or 5 cans of soup, if I need 4 or 5 cans, then I'm going to buy a whole fucking case.
Right. It's cheaper.
Just so that, not only because it was cheaper, but so that I had just that much more in back inventory, so that I would never truly run out. And I loved their veggie beef soup. I fucking loved it. It was like fucking amazing. It's and Mr. A, you are sick and twisted. But but we love you. You know, there's some, and I literally, I probably took, I would, if I had to total it up, I would, with the rate of inflation, it was well over $1,000. By today's standards, it was well over $1,000 that I took to the food pantry. And I had a full-size conversion van at the time, and I made 2 trips, not one, but 2 trips, fully fucking loaded to the ceiling. And you've seen how big my previous van was.
Right.
I mean, that thing was a fucking tank. And yeah.
I mean, let's keep it real. We seen why. I mean, 2020 proved that. I mean, the prepper's the one that got the last laugh on that one. You know, all these people calling us quacks and psychos for stockpiling stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, I wasn't the one fighting over rolls of toilet paper or worrying about what you didn't have on shelves. Or when they started limiting items, even Aldi started limiting items. You can only get 2 of these or 4 of these.
You know, I remember a lot
Why?
of that.
Fear and panic.
You know,
Look at what people did during 2020 because of fear and panic. Look what they've done in 2021 over fear and panic.
You know, I
lied to you multiple times about having, you only need 2 shots, 3. Now a booster. I mean, but we're starting to see people are starting to have enough's enough. People are saying that. But, you know, we've got threats and mandates, constant threats and mandates. They want us living in fear. Am I going to have a job next year because all these mandates that aren't laws? There's no legislation, not even at our state level, thankfully. But then again, you got people like living in New York, Chicago, who are going to be forced with these mandates because the state actually mandated it.
You know,
but that's something you need to look into. Did they? Did they make it a law? Is there a law on file? Is there legislation on file saying this is a law? You need to look into that. Or are they just pulling a Biden and bullying you and threatening you with something that's not even a law? Because if it is not a law, you can actually hold these private companies liable for discrimination.
Yeah, and here's another aspect of that. If you were a victim because of the violence of the supply and demand, because 90%, conservatively, 90% of our toilet paper comes from, guess where? China. Big shocker there, huh? If you were a victim of abuse or an attempted victim of assault while trying to get particular items during the rush, then you can, by the letter of the law, you can hold those same companies liable under the liability lawsuit, and you can claim your medical bills, any lost time for work, and pain and suffering in that situation, as well as you can also claim PTSD on that one as well.
I think it's it's a good point to be bringing out, and something people should know, because thus far, there's been a lot of talk and no action. There's been a lot of people bluffing about a mandate when there's no law written no legislation passed, no laws passed.
Actually, I'm going to check you there. I'm going to check you. There has only been one state that actually stepped up to the plate, and they made certain that certain laws were on the books before mandates could come out. And Florida got it right the first time when they came through and they said no to this, no to this, and no to this.
Well, they were the first. There's a bunch now.
And they
There's
went
over 14
through,
states that's done that.
but they did it through they were the very first, and they did it through, they didn't do it with by power of the pen. They went through the legislative
they went through the
body.
state legislatures, yes.
They
but I'm not referring to those guys. I'm referring to the states that have said they're doing it, but
and they didn't do shit.
well,
They
no,
paid
I mean,
they paid lip service or minimalist activities at best.
That's why I always state it's important just not to worry about your federal level, but you need to check to see what your House of Representatives and your state levels are doing, because that's where the action takes place for your state. So all these mandates that your mayors and your governors might be threatening, well, if it ain't an executive order, or if it ain't been questioned by your state legislator, or they haven't approved it or passed it into law, then you have some illegal activity going on, and it's actually bullying and threatening. And I mean, it's actually, one could go as far as saying very criminal activity on, you can go after them on several grounds on that. And I mean, it opens up the door. And this one thing we have seen with 2021. We're starting to see more and more people take stances in their communities against the scoreboard. More people speaking out. And it's been a trend it's been growing slowly. It's not getting much attention because they don't want to give that attention. And if you paid attention this year, you've seen it more and more. I mean, you've seen it, and they hit a nerve when people start standing up to the school board about critical race theory. And, DOJ and the FBI having to step in saying, well, if you do this, we're going to investigate you and label you a domestic terrorist, which strips you of all your constitutional rights and all your rights and due processes. That's how fearful they were. And that alone, Congress should have intervened and stepped right in and put the FBI in their place. But they didn't. That's why I said blue, red, independent, whatever their fucking label is, I don't care who's sitting in Congress right now, none of them should be reelected. Not a single one of them. They're all guilty. They are guilty against crimes to we the people. They've committed some of the most heinous atrocities to the American people. They have failed to do their job. They failed to uphold their oaths of office. The only thing they've cared about is jacking inflation, continuing in fear propaganda, running crazy investigations, which I think Congress should have no right to, unless it's an ethics committee.
Oh, you mean like what they did to PV?
Yeah, or like they're doing right now with the January 6th probe, how they're subpoenaing people in, trying to subpoena their phones, then leaking the phone information out, which is a crime, by the way.
Yes, it is.
One, I think my personal opinion, and I'm pretty sure it was my founding father's opinion, when he wrote helped write the laws and regulations and stuff that we went by, that they didn't have that power because they're not a court. And that was, somebody was appointed and set in as a Supreme Court justice. He just didn't win his nomination because, well, he stood up and fought against the treaty with Britain because he was right. We didn't pay off our debt that was part of that treaty to Britain until the Clintons took office in the late 90s, mid 90s. Think about that. So now our inflation's jacked this high, keeps going up daily. And all our Congress wants to do is spend the Build Back Better bill. Yeah, thankfully, Manchin threw the monkey wrench in it. Was not expecting that. But hey, he did. Well, put an end to that. Well, now I talk about, Build Back Better. What is it now going to be? I can't remember what they're calling it now that they're going to push in January. It's Build Back something.
There's so much that is being talked about and hypothesized about.
Well, the part that pisses me off is the January 6th probe. And I screwed up. I should have questioned Hollywood Stinks more about this because she was there. She went to the inauguration. But we know people that went. I was very vocal about it from the start. No, I'm not going. And telling people, no, not a good idea. I seen the writing on the wall on that one before it even happened. That was weeks before it happened. That was actually towards the end of it was New Year's stream. Telling people not to go. Because we knew what was going to happen. It was clear. You could see it clear as day what was about to happen. And what happened is far worse than what you guys understand. Because she did point it out. You couldn't even walk in there with a backpack, an umbrella, a selfie stick. You were stripped at every checkpoint of anything. Basically, other than your camera and your person, it's all you got to go in through. And you went through multiple checkpoints. There's no way people with flagpoles wearing Kevlar and vest could have got through the damn checkpoints. Nobody's talking about this. It was impossible. And no citizen that went there had those things. Because they were stripped of all that stuff. And you never got approved to go through if you was wearing a Kevlar vest. You would have been escorted right out of there. That's how tight security was
I know.
And is for our inaugurations since 9/11.
Oh, I know.
What took place on the 6th is BS, fake. Other than the few innocent people that didn't have flagpoles or any of these things that got caught up in these paid provocateurs, these FBI and CIA plants that were there in glorious numbers, agitating and committing the atrocities that took place. Because There was no way. Not even the QAnon person who did get sentenced could have got in with what he was wearing. That's how strict the security was. Nobody points that out.
And that, unfortunately.
But the atrocity that happened after that fact is they put up fencing and brought military in to keep we the people out of our property. The Congress building belongs to we the people. We have the right to be in there whenever we want. We have a right to set in on Congress and watch them. It is actually part of our due diligence. They committed, and actually, if you want to know, the first shot fired was by our Congress, by them locking our House of Representatives, our Congress down to we the people. That building belongs to us. Much like the White House belongs to us.
Yeah,
but the fact is,
last time that building was ever entered in a frenzy was done by the British.
Yeah, back when the British burnt the White House down.
That was the last time that building was ever entered in a riotous way.
I know a lot of people are gonna be screaming, "Well, where's the proof?" Well,
go.
If you need more proof than what I just said, but you don't understand how there's plenty of video people streaming. Tried to stream because it was a pain in the ass to get a stream out of there. It always is. But there's plenty of YouTube streamers out there. It's got video, the whole thing of all the checkpoints you got to go through. It's impossible.
Even on a good day.
You're not, and the only people that's been subpoenaed or arrested aren't the ones that were being vocal, aren't the ones that was on a megaphone saying, "Yeah, come in here, come in here." There's videos of cops, the state, DC state. I don't even get how DC has a police department.
That it's actually the entire because I've actually gotten a ticket in the city of DC. Anything that actually happens in
they're called Capitol Police, but shouldn't it be military?
It's operated under the Park and Rec
state. It's a district.
It's actually under the National Park Service.
So therefore, it's FBI. It's feds.
But they're under their funding comes out of the National Park and Rec department, and the Department of which ultimately becomes the Department of the Interior.
Right.
So at any level, it's all federal. Any way you dice it and slice it, but because I got a ticket out there and it's a stupid parking ticket, and when I got back to Wisconsin, and it was about a month later, I think it was, I got pulled over, and they're like, "Are you aware that you have a parking ticket in DC?" And because they ran my tags and whatnot, I was like, "No, there was nothing on my windshield or anything like that." And I went home, I checked my mail, and it was in my mail but it was like almost a month after by the time I got it. And by that point, the date to appear in court for it had already passed. So I had to go back to DC. I had to fly to DC, and I had to take a cab because my privilege to operate a motor vehicle had been suspended. My plates had been temporarily suspended. I had to pay to have both of which reinstated, besides a $45 ticket, because the parking meter I ran over by like 15 minutes. And handicap plates. And as soon as they ran my name, they'd have been like, oh, we'll overlook this because of obvious reasons. But no, the judge was like, they asked me why I didn't show up to court. And I was like, I just got home. I just got the notification and I had to hurry up, catch a flight back here, and show up in court the very next day and try to make this right. And it's like a 3-ring circus, and it ended up costing me $200 to get my plates reinstated and my driver's license reinstated.
That's because you got to pay the reinstatement fees.
I had to pay them in DC and in Wisconsin, my home state. And I'm not even a resident of DC, and I had to pay their fees and Wisconsin's reinstatement fees both. But it's anything that happens in DC, it becomes a federal situation, and so they can go to any really it's all federal. And the question could be asked, when we look at the famous song by KWS, Blue on Black, and the way that NYPD is acting, and the dark blue, almost black uniforms, how long will it be before we go from a police force that is federalized in DC? Oh,
fucking righteous fucking nigger.
Ah, shit, I couldn't get him.
I got him.
Yeah, but I couldn't screenshot him.
Making sure I got him.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that it got on the stream as well. And I'm pretty sure I didn't get it. But how long? The question could be asked. Nope, I didn't get it.
I got him before he got it off.
I heard it come across the stream, or I heard it on our side, at least. I don't know if it made it through on the stream or not.
No, it didn't. I got him. I muted him before he got a chance. As soon as he
good.
opened his mouth.
But
I will be changing the number after this podcast, so that won't happen. This won't be happening again.
Yeah, I think it's time to change numbers. Speaking of time, it's 3 hours, man. But that the bottom line is that how long, and it's a question, how long before we see a federalized police force come into play? How much longer do we go down this road as we're seeing before this does happen? It's all AG 30, because we're already well past 25. We're already well past that.
I mean, in some cases, we're actually past. Damn it.
I got it.
Oh, no, I got it because I'm reporting them now.
Yeah, I think you have the ability to report. I do too, but now I don't, because I removed the comment. I don't have the but it's a pain in the ass that these bots are that vicious tonight again.
Oh, I mean, they're on a roll on this channel. That's the switch. Normally I'm not having this issue.
Right?
But, hey, you know what? You know what I gotta say? It just means we're doing our job. If you're that offended and if I've struck that big of a nerve, you gotta call in here and say effing this, use the N-word, trying to get this channel taken down. Or you gotta put porn links in my chat. You're not smart. In fact, you're probably the dumbest and weak-minded people I've ever met or seen, and you're acting worse than children.
That's a step up from an amoeba.
No, amoebas got more intelligence than they do.
No, true that. But then again, we don't always deal with the
Honestly,
brightest light bulbs.
somebody should have pulled out and made her swallow.
I was gonna say that they probably should have been looking for a flower pot, but I'm just that way. So, I go look for a flower pot, jerk offs. I don't play.
And then, it's like I said, I don't care.
It's
You wanna have
entertainment.
If you want to have some fun and interact in the chat, be my guest. But you're gonna do dumb crap. It goes back to what I said at the beginning of the show. I don't believe in karma. Karma's a bitch. And when I say that, I mean literally she's a bitch.
Yes, she is.
She has no power, no nothing. She lives in an illusionary world. I believe in cause and effect. And keep it up. I am not a merciful type person.
Ask those who played games on the last one.
And some of you guys just aren't smart enough to realize who you're dealing with, what you're dealing with. I'm a whole different type of monster.
Yeah, they want to kick open Pandora's box.
Fuck, Pandora's box don't have shit on me.
They want to open that door. I best of luck to them. They go bringing that shit to me. I'll give you the sheer definition of what hit bullseye means, because this one don't play.
You know, and I think it's funny because how many topics we talked about over this year alone, and subjects we talked about,
Oh fuck!
and now all of a sudden I'm getting this.
Gee, I
I'm
wonder.
sorry, I don't have that many followers. Most people unsubscribe from me very quick because they don't like what I gotta say.
You know,
Because I call it like it is. You know, and I call a bunch of people that claim to be constitutional hypocrites because they are. You're not constitutionalist. You only believe in a portion that supports your views and beliefs. If it's somebody else's views and beliefs, oh no, they can't have that. So don't call yourself a constitutionalist. A true constitutionalist will sit there and support a Satanist over religious beliefs, just like he'd support a Christian. Because they have a right to their religion, whether we agree with it or disagree with it. Just like your freedom of speech. Yes, you have the freedom to come on here and say what you want within reason. If your action and intent is to say these things to get the channel taken down, then you have a cause and effect. The effect is going to be me muting your ass, me reporting your ass, me doing something spiritual that not even the fucking Pope will be able to take off your ass.
And folks, you do not want to go in that direction.
So keep playing your little fucking games. I ain't the one, never have been. And maybe you should ask around. In fact, I could drop you a few names.
No, I wouldn't even go there. I wouldn't even give them that. I wouldn't even give them that satisfaction of knowing that level, or giving those who have been down that avenue, you know, it doesn't have a higher purpose. So
No, it actually suits my purpose. I'm bored. And they're just a plaything. You know, we all need practice in our individual skill sets.
well, yeah,
And they just become my practice. I might be a little rusty. Who knows? And I'm definitely not rusty.
Not after the last couple, that's for sure.
You know, it's like there's so much we could talk about, and yeah, we're getting off. I'm getting off on a tirade and over stupid people that just don't get it. And that's the problem with things today is we've gotten to a point where even on these social media platforms, it's so easy for your content to get taken down because of the acts of others. Because it's our responsibility as the content creator to make sure those things don't violate the TOS, when sometimes it's out of our control.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder what's going on in the YouTube studios, that they have allowed, because I've ran some of these names, and some of these profiles have either been deleted or removed by YouTube, going back as far as one of these was removed by YouTube in 2014.
Well, I mean, this one that's posted in the chat like 3 times. Same profile. If you go to the profile, it'll be deactivated.
And there's one in here that's not an American name.
Well, none of them's been an American name thus far.
The last one was. But there's one in here that that profile was deleted and deactivated by YouTube in 2014 for not so nice things. So how is it that either A, YouTube's security really sucks, or it's been compromised from the inside out?
Well, I mean, it's like that on every platform. You have individuals that abuse their given power on these platforms, and they specifically target people or open the door so people can be targeted and look the other way. I mean, there's no mystery behind that. We know it happens. I mean, look at the so-called fact checkers.
Yeah, and that's why I was able to pull up some of these names that is just astounding. The bullshit that has been going on. But it sounds like probably a good place to tie a bow on this.
Before we get the next caller that actually slips through.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and tie a bow on this one. You know, my contact information, it's the same. It ain't changed. There might be a stream from me. I don't know when. Yeah, you know, I'm as predictable as the weather is.
You're actually more predictable than the weather.
Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm about as...
You're about as predictable as the weatherman.
Exactly. Yeah, never know when I may pop up and I may go live. And I don't play as nice as Drew does. I'm not as nice. Just keep that in mind. Because you will get removed, and whether you have any other social media platforms left, or your computer or your cell phone has memory, or would just so happen to explode into a ball of flames, don't look at me. Not my fault. Not my problem.
Don't look at me. I know nothing about that.
Exactly.
Not even a little bit.
So let's put a bow on this one, and we'll see you in 22, if not before.
I will see you before, because I do plan on doing a New Year's Eve countdown into New Year's. We'll try to do that every year. No guarantees. Well, guarantee I'll start it. No guarantee I'll be sober enough by the end.
I will not be around.
I don't think I made it to the end.
I will not be around. I can guarantee that. I have a very long, full day that day, and I am going out that night.
Not me. I've never been a fan of going out. I'd rather just chill at the house with a few friends.
I've got a
I haven't even gotten away from the few friends part. I kind of just like chilling at the house by myself.
I have a security gig that night, so I don't have a choice.
Plenty of alcohol and whatnot. Why not? It's New Year's.
Yeah, and I have
something better we always hope for the new year to bring better things, and fortunately, I've already talked about this. I have nothing positive to say about 2022. We'll just leave it at that. For those that think things can't get worse, or they can get much worse, and probably going to. It's just the writing's on the wall, and how things play out, believe it or not, is up to all of us. We have more control and say in things in 22 than what you think. Continue what you've been doing for 2021, taking stands, standing up, enforcing the fact that you're not going to stand down to the school boards, to these mandates, that you're going to fight, that you're going to be vocal. Because each time we do that, that's one step in stone to getting things back on the right track. It is the stepping stone to regaining our freedoms and letting these politicians, these so-called governors, mayors, authority figures know that we've had enough. 2022 could be the year of freedom, but before we get to that, we've got some hardships we're going to have to go through. It all depends on you. I hope you guys all enjoyed. I want to thank Hollywood Stinks for joining us. Always nice to have somebody new on, especially somebody as elegant as she is with her words and her thoughts and opinions. Definitely refreshing. Because I know you guys get tired of hearing me. I know I get tired of hearing me, right? You guys all have a good night. I'm going to have another drink and call it a night myself. I will see you guys on New Year's Eve. I'll make sure I get this right.